Welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always as we confront and help Cove work through the mess that is his parents' understanding his parents' divorce. And go jet skiing, hopefully. So come along for what's sure to be a long and exciting adventure. Cove's throat bobbed as he swallowed. His eyes glistened glossy with tears that had yet to fall. He blinked quickly, trying to hold them back. Thank you for telling me. His voice was hoarse, little more than a whisper. Mr. Holden brought a hand up to his face and lightly nudged Cove's arm. You're welcome. You're a grown-up now, right? You deserve the truth. That's the least I could do for you. Cove managed a fragile smile. Thank you for taking care of me, for all of it. Mr. Holden brushed the compliment off with a wave of his hand.
No worries.
It was nothing. Look at where we ended up. I got this whole entire store, a house, friends here, a very thoughtful son. It's all good for me.
I'm so glad.
His voice was still quiet, and he ducked his head slyly after saying the words. Mr. Holden patted him on the back. You could see the tears in Cove's eyes still shining, threatening to spill over. Let me talk for a moment about this.
I'm so glad.
If they were going to voice the line like that, how hard would it have been to insert a "so" there? So that, like, it made sense, right? I know they use these clips, voice clips, for, like, lots of random things that don't make a lot of sense sometimes. Just to convey an emotion that the character is feeling at the moment, but that's so weird that we couldn't just put "so" in between there for the writing. Like, did she do the writing first and then they did the clips? That makes the most sense to me. Like, possibly she did the writing for the scenes and then sent it to the person who was doing the voice acting as, like, here, you record certain lines for these scenes based on this. Mr. Holden put an arm around his shoulders, gently steering him towards the door. You should go have fun. Make some nice memories. Cove's gaze flickered to you, the watery smile on his face solidified. Alright. Good. Now, out you go. Mr. Holden nudged the two of you out of the shop. You both walked silently as you made your return to the docks. Cove's face was pensive, clearly just digesting everything his dad said. He finally sighed, catching your attention. He hesitantly reached out for the bag he brought and raised it up. Marina, I want to call my mom. I'm not going to leave her out of things, and I want to know what she thinks about what happened and all that. He fiddled with the straps of his bag. It still remained closed shut. It's not like I don't trust Dad, it's just Mom's thoughts are important too. That's not a bad idea. I bet she'd have some interesting things to add. So it's interesting to this is that I wanted to have Marina be more involved in this moment than Saro's character was, but I feel like she's not because you're not allowed to. It's just kind of a theater you're watching. I have a warm beverage now because my throat needed it. He seemed relieved that you understood. You knew he didn't want to be a bother with another delay. Thanks, and I guess there's no time like the present, time to ask. So if it was the normal Our Life moment, this little conversation would take all day and we would get the jet ski. I'm just saying. Because the way stuff works. With that mini pep talk, he finally opened his bag and found his phone. Cove unlocked it and tapped over his favorite contacts. He called up his mom and put the speaker on as it dialed. I don't have favorite contacts. I never thought about that before, that you could even do that. Kyra must have had her phone closed because she answered almost immediately.
Cove!
This is a pleasant surprise. I thought you'd be getting back to me later. Hey, Mom. He paused for a second and looked at you. Cove's generic, very white phone, too. This just... I don't know, man. Cove got the brand new iPhone. You're on speakerphone with Marina, too. Hey, Kyra. Hello. Hi, I'm here. Hey, Kyra. Hey, girl, hey. Oh, hello. I'm popular today. Oh, what's going on? Don't keep me in suspense. Are you a pro jet skier already? Cove chuckled and scratched the back of his head. We haven't started yet. Actually, there's something I kind of want to ask you about. So, did Cove tell her we just didn't get that earlier? Or did Cliff, tell her? Also, I'm only just now realizing this is a tattoo. There's no... I always thought that was a necklace, and maybe it is and you're just not... The lines are so fine you can't see it. But I'm pretty sure this sun is a tattoo she has. I'm only just now realizing that. I always thought that was like a necklace she was wearing.
Really?
I'm intrigued. Her voice was brightly excited. Cove moved the phone close to his face so he could speak softly, aware that the tone of the conversation was about to change. was talking to Dad earlier about your relationship and why you both divorced. I love the face expression change here. That one syllable had lost all her earlier energy. Cove tightened his grip of his phone. It does make sense that the past would come up today. Yeah, but... He tried to brighten the mood again. You weren't used to him being the perky one of the two. You could only imagine it felt strange role reversals for him. Dad said you were really amazing. He admired you a lot. What a flatterer. She sighed wistfully. You could hear some interference. Maybe she had shaken her head. You couldn't tell for sure. He bungled himself through regular everyday adulting and social situations in astoundingly charming ways. Yet, somehow at the same time, when he was ambitious, slightly shady, under-the-table type of man when it came to making his living in the world. Yup. He did all his gambling and his weird, schemes and stuff. So, essentially, your father was an absolute heartthrob to someone such as myself. Cove and Kyra laughed delicately. The tension was broken into something lighter, more familiar between the two. It's cool, you both have nice things to say about each other. I agree, baby. She took a moment before continuing carefully. Do you have a question about what happened? I'm not sure. Cove squinted at the phone in his hands and tried to think, his free hand brushing through his hair. Just kind of wanted to know how you described what it was like. Could I tell you what Dad said about it?
All right.
I don't think Cliff would mind. Whatever he told you is probably what he'd say to me. Alright, go for it. After taking a breath, Cove recapped Cliff's experience, doing his best to follow his dad's story. He went into a surprising amount of detail and not sure a single thing was missed. Kyra listened on in absolute silence, letting her son speak without interruption. When Cove finished, he took another deep inhale of air. So, what do you think? Kyra sighed softly. You heard a clacking noise like she was drumming her nails in the back of her phone or on a countertop. That definitely sounds like Clifford. Big red dog. It's not exactly wrong, but he doesn't have a total picture. He puts the emphasis in the wrong places, I think.
Huh?
What do you mean? For starters, Cliff unsurprisingly downplayed himself more than he had to. He did? Cove's eyebrows raised and his face continued to inch even closer to the screen.
Well,
Since your dad was so praising of me, it's only fair to return the favor. When Cliff said he was already taking care of himself when he met me, he meant he was on his own. Cliff's own parents weren't, and still aren't, friendly people. They've always had a combative relationship, though him getting into drinking and gambling as a teenager certainly didn't help. Oh! Cliff likes the alcohol. I think I might have known that, but it's interesting that, So yeah, Cliff has a different kind of family relationship, which is interesting. He knew they'd kick him out at 18, so he saved them the trouble and left home at 17. He always found a way to make it work, even without support. I met him a few months after that. We hit it off right away. He was exactly what I wanted back then. We dated, and then about a half year later, bam! You were on the White Cove. Yep. They were into it. She laughed fondly as Cove clung to every word. I was really optimistic about it all. I couldn't wait to be a mother, and I was more than happy that Cliff was the father who'd be along for the ride. We got married quick, before you were born. Cliff's recollection of our wedding dynamic is pretty spot on. He was extremely stubborn and just, immature. Highly immature. Her voice raised slightly, and you got the feeling she was thinking back to her memories living with him. She left the specifics unspoken. But it's not like I was grown up either. Everyone except maybe Cliff could see our relationship was no good, or at least not good enough yet to commit to. I knew, but I didn't want to give it up. I wanted to keep the family together. I thought if we divorced, if we were never together, then we'd ruin your life, Cove. What is this? Sorry. I had to distract myself for a sec. Something I didn't even do it. There's something in my drink. It's annoying. I think it was a fly that flew in there and got stuck. There, I got it, sorry. Obviously that wasn't true. I just didn't have enough experience at the time to realize there wasn't only one option for us. Which is another thing that when you're in the midst of that situation, right, you don't think things through. Divorce sometimes seems like the only option. separation. Maybe things would have been easier on you if we had split when you were still a baby, but it took me years to start figuring it all out. Cove nodded, even if his mom couldn't see it, thinking hard about something. He was likely remembering his own experiences back then. We were married, but never seriously loved each other. We hardly knew each other. I don't mind that Cliff never viewed marrying me as some kind of dream come true, but I honestly just appreciate that he tried giving me my hastily made life plan a shot. Yeah, I could see her being the one that really wanted to get into it and, like, do it, and him being a little more hesitant about it because he had that bachelor life going on. Because she's impulsive and wants to do everything right now. That's how Kyra is now and probably was then. I was the one who proposed after all. Got down on one knee and everything. She huffed slightly, something between a chuckle and a sigh. It's very funny and a little sad that Cliff still doesn't know why things changed between us. It's obvious to me, and I guess he does know deep down. He just never consciously made the connection.
It's alright.
I'm not even mad he didn't stay the same towards me. Love makes everything different. But you said... I know what I said. She interrupted before Cove could even finish his blurred out interjection. I don't mean Cliff and I. We were just two kids in a relationship that only ever worked when it was its easiest. When you were fucking. And then you were born. Little Cove James Holden. I loved you immediately, and so did your father. Cove was stunned. His eyes started watering as his mouth clamped shut. The inclination we had towards each other paled in the face of that. Our love to you was the real deal. Cliff was the proudest papa. Then, in true Cove fashion, tears began to fall. He stayed silent, but you were pretty sure Kyra knew the effect her words had on her son. Which is weird that they didn't add tears to this portrait for this. I feel like they would have, they should have. They do that sparingly, but I feel like this is a moment where Cove should have had tears. No matter how much time passed, Cliff never knew how amazing it was that such a precious little boy was his. And it never got over how amazing it was that such a precious little boy was his. I should have taken pictures of how he'd puff up whenever someone referred to you as his son. She sounded much cheerier now. A slight smile crept on Cove's face despite his tears. Yeah, I kinda know that feeling already. I'll be honest. That idea of hearing that someone refer to a kid as your kid. And again, he still does that now. It wasn't hard to imagine Mr. Holden letting up around baby Cove the same way he did with 18-year-old Cove. I remember how, when a real argument started brewing, Cliff had a habit of walking away to cool off. He wasn't able to handle it. His son seemed to have taken after him in that way. You heard her chuckle when Cove looked down, a blush clear on his cheeks. You could just feel her smirk through the phone. She breezed over the next section airily. For our whole relationship, he always ended fights by skipping out on me for who knew how long. I don't think Cliff even knew when he'd come back. That stopped when you were born. Cliff stopped running. He was still gone a lot for work, and we still had fights, but he wouldn't leave. Instead, he'd go to your room, Cove. If you were asleep, he'd just sulk on the ground by your crib until you woke up. Sometimes he'd pace the room while holding you, or sit on the floor and rock you. He'd stay with you until one of us decided we were ready to talk again. We didn't have a lot of furniture back then. That's part of the reason why Cliff was always hanging out on the floor. He really came to embrace it. And that's where Cove gets it from. When our relationship got bad enough that we didn't want to share a bed anymore, he always made sure I got to have the mattress. That's where Cove gets it from. He instead set up a spot in the corner of the nursery just in case you needed anything through the night. He gave you a more private space when you got bigger, but he still always made sure that he could be there for you. There's still no denying whether Cliff understands or not. He made his choices about prioritizing me, but it wasn't that he suddenly hated me. To Cliff, I was only a wife on paper. In his mind, I was a cool girl he had dated and generally liked, nothing close to being the light of his life. Yeah. Kinda know that feeling a little bit too, honestly. All his blood, sweat, and tears weren't for himself, or me, or even the family unit. They were all completely and totally for his baby. Meanwhile, I was doing the same, though in the opposite way. I did take us being married seriously. I was trying to force us together as a couple so we'd be a complete family for our child. It felt like a fly on the wall of a very personal conversation. Cove didn't seem to notice when you looked over at him. His face was a complicated patchwork of emotions. Yeah, this would be weird and awkward. I mean, you could just skip all of this and just go jet skiing.
I guess.
Eventually, I woke up and saw what I was doing. I realized it wasn't going to work. Not like that. When I was ready for it, I talked to Cliff about separating and starting up the divorce process. He was shocked by it, and unfortunately, it wasn't too long after when you had your accident, Cove. Marina, I don't know how much Cove really told you about it, but when he broke his arm, it terrified all of us. Cove could have died. Even back then, we knew he'd likely have a permanent scar he'd have to live with forever. Our parenting hurt our child, and he was the only one who'd have to carry the repercussions. Yeah, Marina's scar is just because she's an idiot. You were a bit taken aback to be referred to directly. You still felt a lot of place, and she'd seemed completely focused on her son. Cove grimaced, and then the hand only his phone shook. Mom. Kyra continued as if she'd never paused. It was heartbreaking, and then on top of it all, we had to put you through your parents breaking up. Taking that back wasn't an option, despite the timing. It felt like everything we'd worked so hard for to make you happy was for nothing. I chose to believe we'd fix our lives from there, but to Cliff it seemed hopeless. He'd failed his son. It was easier for me in some ways. I had my family to lean on, and that made it feel less daunting, less impossible. Cliff had only ever really known being on his own, but the happenstance of his birth, and then by choice. When we broke up, he knew he was going to have to put back the pieces of what was left alone. Yeah, that's crazy to think. I don't know. I don't have context for that, because I've always had a supportive family structure and friends. But the idea that you have no one, maybe his friends, but the only person he's ever had in the world is this man's right here. I wanted to be there for him, even after everything, but I was the one divorcing him. It was impossible. I never managed to be someone he truly relied on, and I had to remember that wasn't changing. As bleak as it felt at the time, Cliff still tried not to let any of that show to you, Cove. He did what he could to keep your spirits high about the move, your new house, the scar, everything. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see Cliff's perspective in the first moment, the first step. Like, if you could get a glimpse behind the scenes, right, of how he was doing, trying to keep Cove going. He spent a lot of time being, like, nervous and worried and letting Cove get away with everything. So that's why Cove trailed off. He misunderstood the impact his injury had on his parents. You're reminded of something that made more sense now. Mr. Holden had been so helpful with Cove's old Halloween costume because he didn't want Cove to be saddened by the scar. It was clear Cove was coming to the same realizations. Now with all that said, if Cliff was a completely perfect and wonderful guy, I wouldn't have left him. If it was pretty good, I would have stayed. It was not hard to have custody. It was hard not to have custody. Sometimes it felt like it was a fun aunt rather than the mom I always wanted to be. I might have overcompensated a little at times because of that. She forced a laugh, but it had an uncomfortable edge to it. You could tell she was trying to blow off a very real anxiety of hers. Cove looked ready to say something, but his mom kept talking and kept moving forward. Yeah, Marina and Kyra are very similar in personality. Like how they deal with things. Still, it's not Cliff's fault alone that our relationship didn't work. We were always better as co-parents than spouses. But I knew that when separating, that wasn't going to be even. Yeah, they're still better as co-parents. I think they're great as co-parents. That summer we had with them both here was really cool. And Cove, the only reason I could stand not being there for you all the time is because I knew that the situation was reversed and I could have provided a more stable environment. Cliff would have done the same. Your dad would give up his house, his shop, even his right arm if it would guarantee that you were safe and happy. So as painful as it was, I was sure that you'd be okay because you were still with someone who loved you more than anything else in the world. Cove lowered his head, tears falling to the ground. He tried to speak. It took him a few... Oh, he's got the tears now. They do have a portrait of tears. It took him a few tries. Hey, the music's changing to the happy music to tell that everything's resolved and we're not in a heavy moment anymore. Thank you for telling me. His voice cracked and Kyra made an alarm sound on the other end of his line. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to make you cry. It's always interesting to me, the music cues in this that like signal how you're supposed to feel in a moment.
I get it.
He was still crying. Everyone could tell, being physically present or not. I love you, Mom. You've always been my mom. Not some aunt. My mom. I love you too. Her tone was thick with emotion. She was at the edge of a voice break herself. I'm so lucky to be your mom. She started to sniffle openly, which I was doing earlier, and I'm glad I'm not anymore.
Don't worry about that.
Don't feel bad for me now how it worked out. I promise that none of it was your fault, and it's not as though I'm completely miserable over here. I have an incredible life with a beautiful baby boy of my own who calls whatever he can. At that, Cove's tears only came down heavier. So I feel so bad that when I first heard about this divorce, I immediately thought maybe she had cheated on Cliff. Because I had a hard time believing that Cliff was, like, the kind of guy who would have done anything, like, shady. And now I know more about Cliff. It's like, yeah, no, maybe not. I don't believe that either one of them ever was the kind of person that would, like, cheat on the other, though. Now that I know more about them. That's not the kind of game this is. I'm just so used to people cheating, too. That happened in my own relationship, too. My own marriage. After everything else. But, so anyway, I get a little suspicious about that and weird about that, and that's kind of why I was... So I feel like I owe Kyra a apology, and I do. I mean, I love Kyra. She's a great character. His parents are amazing. It makes the whole dynamic of you marrying Cove make a lot more sense, because you have the supportive, like, cast of, like, parents that you can rely on. Thank you. Kyra sighed affectionately, and you could hear the warmth in her voice. I think that's good for now. Maybe we should end the column. Take a moment. There yet? Why don't you take 4B? Is that really alright? He tightened his grip on his phone. You could see how emotionally exhausted he looked.
Of course.
Be in touch soon. For now, you'll only be able to keep thanking me or apologizing.
Hey!
Cove cried out defensively over the accusation, making his mom snicker. Fine. Goodbye to you, Marina. I'm glad you were there for my baby. Talk to you later. Bye, Mom. I love you. Love you too. Cove hung up. He let his hand drop to his side, his phone brushing the fabric of his wetsuit. His other hand went up to his face. He tried to wipe tears from his eyes. His face was red and he struggled to put his phone back in his bag one-handed. You could tell he was getting worked up. He finally just used both of his hands and sealed his phone back into its normal place. Oh, that's a cool bag. It's got like an actual slot for his phone to go in. Cove sniffed and then reached out to you. His hand trembled in your grasp when you squeezed back. He needed to feel your support. You want to go see your dad again? He didn't have to tell you what was on his mind for this. Cove nodded his head weakly. You rushed back the way you came, feet pounding across the boards as the docks returned to the scuba shop for the third time. You really don't get to interact much in this moment, which is interesting. It's just kind of a storytelling. He reached his dad's store and Cove still wasn't slowing down. He pushed his way through the door at full speed. His hand released yours as he charged in. Mr. Holden had been walking around the middle of the store checking over things, immediately turned it to sound.
What's wrong?
What? There's the fire. He froze when he got a look at Cove's face. He worriedly opened his mouth, probably to ask what was wrong, but then Cove launched himself at his father. Cove threw his arms around Mr. Holden's neck. He buried his face in his dad's shoulder and started to sob with deep pitching breaths. Cliff clearly had no idea what was going on. His hand hovered awkwardly in the air. He looked at you for a brief second, hoping to understand before turning all his attention to Cove. It's a great cut in. The height's there. His wrapped both his arms around Cove's back. Cove looked secure in his father's embrace, protected and safe. That's okay. It'll be okay. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay. Cove kept crying and inhaled deeply, his voice choking up when he tried to speak.
I'm so sorry.
You always tried to be there for me. Us growing up, and I was mean to you. I'm sorry.
What?
He doesn't look sad, he just looks kind of like, whatever. That's what this weird about this. Mr. Holden was completely taken aback. He hadn't expected this to be the issue. You don't have to apologize for that, but kids are allowed to be mad at their parents. It's my job to take care of you. I really didn't do anything special. Cove shook his head as empathically as he could, while still tucked into against his dad. You've always supported me no matter what. You always loved me. I wish I realized how much you did sooner. Cove squeezed him tighter. Thank you. I love you, Dad. At his son's heartfelt confession, the father became choked up as well. He compressed Cove into a crushing hug. I like that one better. I do love you. I always will. You can count on that. I want to be there for you too. They clung to one another, absorbed in the moment, and after a little while longer, they slowly began to loosen their hold. Cove sniffed and moved so that he could use his palm to wipe away his tears. His dad's shirt was visibly damp where his face had been. Cliff patted the top of Cove's shoulders. He looked at his son with pride. You've grown up so much. Cove started to laugh through his tears, a wavering smile on his lips. He doubted that Cove would ever thought crying on his dad's shoulder was a sign of maturity, but it was true. Cove had changed over the years. You were glad to see Cove grow. You felt a little awkward. You thought you understood Cove's dad a little better now, too. Made you understand there were there was more to understand about your moms. I like this one, though. I thought you understood Cove's dad a little better now, too. Your perception of Cliff had always been colored by the limited size you were willing to show his neighbors, but then through Cove's eyes. What you had learned today gave you more of a complete picture of him. It felt like you knew him better now, on his own merits. Cove wiped his eyes again. You're a good dad. You're a good son. Mr. Holden was plainly touched by the words. He beamed at his beloved child, and Cove looked away and tried to chase his scar. Cliff chuckled and released Cove to rub the back of his neck. The earlier panic had bled off and left confusion. I'm glad we had this talk, but what was it that made you cry in the first place? You weren't too bad off when you left before. Oh. Cove ducked his head further down, getting a very good look at the scuffed marks on the floor. I called Mom. I wanted to talk to her about all this. He kicked one of his feet shyly, swinging back and forth against the ground. Things felt really hard when I was younger, but it wasn't just me going through stuff, Dad. You never give yourself credit. Let's smile gently and grip Cove's shoulder in reassurance.
Oh.
Kyra is an amazing person to come to my defense. For me, the only hard part was seeing you and her unhappy. Everything else, that was nothing. He wrapped an arm around Cove's neck for another side hug. Cove leaned into the embrace and glanced up at his dad. Your old man is tougher than he looks. Check out how powerful these arms are. And this is 10 years on. I was in my prime those days. We've seen you shirtless, Cliff. We know. Everybody in this game is jacked. Cove laughed at his light sound full of fondness. Everyone in this game is hot, too. Like all the girls and stuff. Like, you can't live in our life world and not be hot. Okay. He quieted down a little, finding a quick moment of seriousness. Thanks again, Dad. I know you don't want me to feel bad, and I'm happy because of everything you and Mom did. I have a really nice life. I guess Shiloh I wouldn't consider to be attractive, but he's also not ugly. And he has, like, actually a pretty attractive looking, like, later life portrait. Mr. Holden's countenance became much more serious. He didn't take any what was said lightly. Cove, you are very welcome. That's so good to hear. They let Cove go again. This time they both took a step back to their normal proximity. Mr. Holden cleared his throat. He looked at you right in the eyes.
That's a relief.
I also appreciate that you were here for support, Marina. What a true friend. A true friend! A true friend. I can't remember the words. I have momentarily forgotten the words to a true friend. I feel dumb. Cove looked back down, embarrassed. Glad I could be here. I want to be there for you too, Mr. Holden. Thanks for finally noticing my presence. Finally, resolution. You're both so sweet. Finally, resolution. No. I want to be there for you too, Mr. Holden. Cove's dad broke into nervous laughter. He couldn't keep it. Well, thanks, but you don't need to worry about me. I do worry about you, and I will worry about you. What did Kyra say? You know what? Don't answer that. I'm not sure I want to hear. That's just thoughtful of you. That's thoughtful. Cliff smiled warmly. He nudged Cove gently as if to say, look how lucky you are. This isn't romance. Hey, maybe I ought to give you another 20 for all this. You've put up with a lot over the years. Oh, I love that they make these. If you reveal it in the earlier moment, I love all the lines they throw in, the jokes about it. It's so worth it to have already done that. To put that out in the open. Cove's cheeks popped into a pout.
No.
That was so mad. I could use some money. Yeah, we're gonna keep it going just to make Cove mad. Oh my god. You were mostly joking. That being said, you wouldn't mind a $20 bill. Not you two.
Sure.
Okay. I'll leave making jokes about that to go. Cove smiled satisfied at that. Alright. Cove exhaled slowly, his posture relaxing. We better get going. You still have work, Dad, and I think Marina has been patient enough. I didn't bring them here to watch me cry to my parents. Cliff grinned and waved to the two of you off. Sure thing. I'm happy you both stopped in, but you gotta go have some fun. Be careful out there. I don't need to go jet skiing anymore, Marina. If you still want to go, I don't mind watching. No way, you're a mature young man, and if you want to jet ski, then you should go out and jet ski. I'll still be here for you if you need anything, right? Yeah, okay. Bye. Take care of yourself. Let's get a moving already. Woo, I almost forgot why I came out in the first place. Take care of yourself. Cove waved back to his dad and he started walking out the front door. You followed. When you turned back to Mr. Holden before you went out the door, he was waving. She's not that impatient. She's here for it. Bye, kids. You'll do great. Once again, as had become today's habit, you and Cove walked out the dock side by side, but this time Cove had a bounce in his step. Back in his step. His smile was soft but radiant. Yeah, so he still wants to go. That's interesting that he's like, I don't have to go. Like, it was, for him, it was all about this. Not getting over this and getting over his parents splitting up. Not about, like, actually jet skiing. Thanks for staying, and sorry for how long it took. Yeah, for the hour and a half that it took, pretty much. You do the same for me. These things happen. I was curious anyway. I had a feeling it'd be a bigger deal than it started as. Probably would be any more interruptions. Jeez, these are mean. You do the same for me. You had his back and he had yours. It was just how things went between the two of you. Cove grinned at you, all grateful positivity and sunshine. The water lapped at the dock beneath your feet. Cove looked down where a particularly strong wave crashed against it. It's weird to think about my parents' relationship. There's all this stuff I don't know yet because I wasn't there, because I was just a kid, or because I didn't even exist yet. It feels really complicated. Relationships are complicated, I know what you mean. I feel that way about mine. Really? You didn't comment. Let's reread this. I read it really quick and I don't. I feel that way about mine? Yeah. You'd sometimes hear moms talking about something and be completely surprised. It was strange when you'd been around for something that hadn't fully understood because you'd been too young. Cove nodded without elaboration. He looked out in the ocean wistfully for a moment, but he shook it off.
It's nice.
I'm happy to hear they were married, even if they didn't stay together in the end. I'm happy that you're all peppy again. Peppy? That's right. If you say so. He asked about what he thought about marriage for himself now. Yeah, actually. She would, want to know. I'm gonna save here, just in case. This feels kind of pivotal. I forget why I even had that save. I think because it was the end of a... I don't want this to be like Cove proposing marriage to us, but I do want to know what he thinks here. Are you scared of it? What? Marriage, you know, because of your parents' history. Cove shook his head shyly. He didn't hesitate for a second. No, surprisingly, I don't have issues about the idea of getting married with him someday. You looked at him, not bothering to hide your intrigue. He chuckled self-consciously at the reaction he got.
I mean...
Don't get me wrong, trying to actually propose would be terrifying. I mean, sure, planning a whole wedding would be so hard, especially for me, but... Yeah, it is. It is, Cove. Just the thought of having someone I loved that I was married to, that I'd spend the rest of my life with, that doesn't scare me. What about you? Would you ever want to be officially married someday? Oh, yes. We've already expressed that she's Arrow. Something I really want? No. I think my friend's something really special. I hadn't thought about it. I didn't really answer. So, yeah, I think where she's at right now, she would not see herself ever getting married. Because she's not romantically attracted to people. Like, at all. And marriage is kind of like an institutionalized thing, and like not ended because anything is bad. Like her moms have a good relationship. Cove's parents obviously had a good relationship. You know, things happen and stuff, but no, the concept just didn't seem to fit you and what you wanted. All right, no more distractions. Let's go. It's time to jet ski. You laughed at him loudly. He only looked more determined. You were going to jet ski. The two of you began to move quickly to make your way across the boards. Despite your excitement, you were both careful. Neither of you wanted an accident, especially after what happened with Cove's first jet skiing trip. You finally got to the rental place. You were surprised at how easy the process was. It took no time at all for Cove to climb on his jet ski with shaky legs. You rented your own jet ski? You decided she's definitely renting her own jet ski. She could have used $20 for that, right? That's probably more than that. We spent this entire time wanting to jet ski and were thrilled to finally climb onto one. It was lime green with blue detailing. The jet ski rocked slightly as we got on, bobbing with the waves. Are we gonna get a jet ski cut in? He looked across the cove. He sat motionless astride his jet ski, preparing himself to start it up. Like we had the surfing cut in. I was kind of hoping we get a jet ski cut in, but they might not do that. Even from your distance, you could tell his hands were clamped up the handles too tightly. He was stiff and nervous. Go, Cove, you can do it. Come on, you really gonna check it out now? It'll be alright, Cove. Trust yourself. You let him have a moment. Now, it'll be alright, Cove. You trust yourself. He took a deep breath. You could see the rise of his chest. She wouldn't call him chicken in this moment. She's not that mean.
Thanks.
She likes to tease Cove, but not like in this moment. He clearly has gone through enough today. He inhaled slowly and started up the jet ski. It rode forward, and you were surprised you could hear him squeak over the sound of the engine. He stopped a few minutes, after a few seconds to breathe again. After he calmed down, he started it up once more. I love how nervous he is here. Cove sputtered and stalled with it for a while, going a little farther each time. He grew more comfortable with the feel. He got the hang of the jet ski fairly quickly. It didn't take long to learn how to turn properly and left it running for longer spurts of time. Cove eventually reached the point where he only stopped the jet ski when he had something to say. He kept shouting things at you. Yeah, but we're also gonna jet ski. It's like, we're not just sitting there watching. She should be describing Marina doing it too. Maybe it will. But like, yeah, I've always been terrified by watching people jet ski. Like, I've had cousins and stuff, like I said, that did it, and that's like, those things seem so scary to me. This is amazing. Did you see that, Marina? This is so great. You'd gotten your own jet ski going as well. You made sure to keep a safe distance. Cove watched what you did with enthusiasm. Nice turn. He zoomed forward and you could hear his bright laugh ring across the waves. Yeah, they already had the cut in of them hugging, so I figured they might not do this, but I was kind of hoping for it. You were relieved he'd taken it so well. You took to the jet ski like a fish to water. You were nervous about jet skiing, but you weren't bad at it. You never left the start and stop phase. It reminded you of a jet skiing game you played in the past. You didn't think you did well at jet skiing. She's not really a video gamer. She's probably played games, like she played Mario Kart or whatever and stuff, but I think Marina's not the kind of person who spends a lot of time playing video games, so she'd be doing stuff like this. There was something intuitive about it. You had no trouble controlling the machine and enjoyed the freedom it offered. You sped around the ocean with a wide smile on your face. So this is just a quick cut, like, to end the moment. I see. We don't get to have a fun jet skiing adventure, really. It's not that much different than if you watch him. That's disappointing. That's the part I was looking forward to the most in this moment, was to see what the jet skiing was like if you go with him, and it's just a couple extra lines of dialogue. It's kind of dumb. Eventually the sun set and you had to pack up. Cove was thankfully still in one piece. No cast necessary. After everything was returned, Cove dug out his phone out of his bag and texted his parents to let them know all was triumph. An idea to take a photo to mark his occasion struck Cove, and he wanted you to join him in the selfie. You got into a silly pose. You showed off your best angles. You covered your face in embarrassment. You smiled. You asked Cove not to picture you. You got into a silly pose. That's Marina. Cove snickered when you got into position. He hesitated for a moment before trying his own funny face. He showed you the picture and made you smile. It'd be a nice memory. His phone vibrated only a moment after texting it out. Mr. Holden and Kyra had likely been waiting the entire day to find out how this outing would go. And with the news of his success, both Cove's parents sent back how proud they were for Cove for how far he'd come. Watching him grinning in the setting sun after facing so many fears that day, you felt the same. Yeah, that jet ski part was a little disappointing after that. That moment. Imagine if you just, like, went jet skiing on your own without doing the rest of it. That could be a really short moment. Jeez. Also, that's a DLC moment when I think about it. Like, it's not one you would normally get. You know, normally if you were doing these in order and you just had the basics, Drive would have been the last one. That's kind of weird to think. Well, thank you for coming along on this adventure. This has just been a couple of fairly short videos that kind of sum everything up here. We only got a few left. I'm going to try to finish this soon. We'll see you then.